Hello guys! It's been a little while since I've made a video and I just want to thank you all from the bottom of my heart for your support. Your messages and constant encouragement is what's got me making a video today. You guys are invaluable to me and you really inspire me to keep sharing my story of working as a midwife and my experiences. So thank you again. Today I'm going to talk to my experience of being a caseload midwife. Sometimes this is referred to as a midwifery group practice midwife or an on-call midwife. It can have several different names, but essentially what I'll be referring to is a midwife who looks after the same women throughout their pregnancy, is on call for their birth, and then looks after them in the postnatal period. I can talk to the intricacies of caseload if that's something you'd be interested in, but it would definitely have to be a different video as it can be quite a complex thing. And I don't feel like you truly understand what it's like until you're working in caseload. My particular experience was we were essentially a low risk model within a hospital, but we were no risk out. So if women developed conditions like preeclampsia or cholestasis, they were to stay in our caseload and we're still able to look after them with, you know, consultation with obstetricians and whoever else needed to be involved. If anyone had talked to me about midwifery, or if anyone would listen to me, I would have told them that my dream is to be a caseload midwife. That's where my eyes are headed and all my training was focused on that. In uni we were taught that caseload is the best model of care for the women, and I certainly found this to be true, but one thing I didn't consider is perhaps, and not in all circumstances, is caseload the best model for the midwife. So a little bit of this is what I'm going to be talking to today. I want to stress that this is completely my own personal experience and my own personal opinion. I definitely think caseload can work. I just think where I was when I came into it, and you know, my experiences and my particular situations made it really difficult, but I want to sort of give people insight into perhaps what it can look like, the good, the positive and the negatives. So the biggest thing that I struggled with in caseload, but also the most valuable lesson I learned, is that of personal boundaries. I think as midwives we are these loving, giving, empathetic people that just want the best for everyone, and sometimes that's to our own detriment. I really struggled with creating that boundary. Of course, this is almost more than a professional relationship because you're going into these people's homes, they have your work number, they can call you at any time. You know, you're getting to know them well, you know their family, you know almost everything about them. So creating that boundary I found really difficult. Because of this, I would often struggle with lots of unnecessary calls or texts and I wouldn't really be able to switch off. But I completely recognize that I probably brought that on myself because I simply did not have the personal or professional skills of building appropriate boundaries. That being said, some women didn't have to be told and completely respected that professional relationship, and honestly it was so rewarding. But definitely something that burnt me out was, you know, not being clear enough with what's appropriate and what's not in terms of calls and messaging, and so it became a constant battle and something that was constantly on my mind. With this though, I do think it is possible to create those healthy boundaries, and I do think that they can be respected. Of course, there's going to be exceptions to every rule and challenges, and this is one thing now. I realize that if you don't create those hard professional boundaries, that you will get burnt out and it will be at the cost of yourself. So it's a great lesson that I've taken on board. One great gift caseload gave me, and what I recommend every midwife do if they get the chance, is to try caseload, because it taught me to have confidence and trust in my professional abilities. A lot of the time on caseload you're on the road, you're in these women's homes and you're having to make these clinical decisions. You have a lot of responsibility and you're having to trust and back yourself. So for me, being really sure of my policies and procedures and what is right was important, and then, you know, backing myself up with the decisions that I would make became really important. This was particularly the case in birth unit, where a lot of the times you were left to completely case manage. Of course, you could discuss things with your seniors and obstetricians and doctors and things like that, but mostly you were left on your own to make these decisions. So it really made me aware of what was normal and what was not normal, and to really trust that tickling of that midwife's intuition when something's going wrong, even though it's not that clear to you. It also inspired me to have more independence as a midwife practicing in terms of getting my cannulation, starting to learn to suture, doing speculums. adding all those additional skills, which, you know, was quite empowering, so that, you know, when I had these relationships with the women, I was able to do all these skills without having to have, you know, the birth space interrupted with people keep coming in and things like that. It also taught me the power of continuity of care. I do still think that continuity of care is the best practice for women, whether that is with a caseload midwife, whether it is with a GP, whether it is a private obstetrician. I think it is so important to start, you know, empowering women and giving them that same care provider. It allows their story to be told, so that each time you have a visit, you're able to deeper explore what is wanted from the birth and the pregnancy and the postnatal process. And I definitely think with women, I saw things that were discussed at 14 weeks play out beautifully in the birth or beautifully in the postnatal period. I found that it allowed the whole labor process to be a lot less fearful, a lot less scary, because everything had been talked about and there had been a plan in place. One thing it did also give me insight into, which I didn't think or expect, was how important a community is around these women. I think with these modern day nuclear family, we've seen sort of the disillusion and the breakdown of the extended family unit. I found the women that I was looking after, that were living with their aunties and grandparents, had this insane support around them and were really able to transition into this postnatal period well, whereas I found those women that were more isolated definitely struggled. So that's something I was able to see going into the homes, that really made me think about how important it is to have those people around you, or to develop those networks, whether it be just good friends or other mothers, just having that team, because it does take a village to raise a child. For me, one way to sum up caseload midwifery is that the highs are so high and incredible, but the lows are so low. And I feel like continuity of care and caseload really brings out the extremes. So there were times that I was bawling my eyes out at birth, or absolutely euphoric, but there were also times where I'd been at birth for 12 hours and my phone had called again, and I knew I'd have to go back in, and I was in tears, I was burnt out, and I was sort of broken down. So I think, you know, I wasn't at that time able to balance those highs and lows, which ultimately led to burnout. I found that working on call caseload, how my team worked is that we'd generally get one 24-hour period off a week and one night off a week, which, you know, when nothing was really happening, this was great and this was perfect. But when you were having, you know, 3 to 4 births in a week, it definitely wasn't enough, and you know, it led to that exhaustion. I found in myself being very anxious with an on-call phone all the time, knowing it could go off at any minute. I feel like some people can thrive off this, but I didn't know until I got there that this was something that was going to affect me. I found I had to completely compromise my personal life. I had to tell friends who asked to hang out no constantly. I couldn't work out, which is a major part of my self-care. I couldn't do that as often. I was scared to go to the gym and get called back in, or that I would exhaust myself. I wasn't able to plan my time appropriately. And like I said, you know, for some people this can be perfect. I feel like almost the perfect scenario to be a caseload midwife is just like, you know, trying to save money in a long-term relationship, you know, quite a stable and steady life. But for me, who's someone who is young and still wanting to really engage in my friendships and wanting to, you know, really be out there having new experiences, I struggled because I had to let a lot of that go. Ultimately, I had to make the decision to leave caseload because it was getting too much from a personal perspective, from a professional perspective, but there was no one event. I would just say it was complete burnout, which isn't talked about too much in the midwifery profession. I also discovered that I really do enjoy working with students. I really do enjoy working with new midwives, and this is where my passion lies. So currently I have moved hospitals and I'm doing 12-hour shifts, which I love. I feel like working 3 to 4 days on and 3 to 4 days off really gives me that balance between personal and professional life. It allows me to start working on projects like this again, which are dear to my heart and completely light me up. And I feel like I'm still, because of that caseload experience, able to give women my all when I'm on shift, and then I'm able to sort of switch off and, you know, go home and still have that personal life. So learning that balance was crucial to me. If you have any other questions about what it's like to work as an on-call midwife or want more details about that, leave them below. If there's enough, I'll make another video. I just wanted to give you guys an update of where I'm at now and what I'm doing. And I have a few more videos pre-recorded that are ready to roll out soon. I just want to thank you guys for staying with me through this busy time, and I want to let you guys know that I really appreciate it, and now that I've got that balance back, making videos is definitely something I'm jumping back into because I enjoy it so much.